Apologies for the delayed video, but Fast and Furious F9 came out. Let's rank the films. Let's do it. Alright folks, I got my bodyguard here. He's going to shake his head no or yes if he agrees with the placement of the movie. But first, let's start with number 10, the worst film in the franchise. I don't think this is even a debate, to be honest with you, is The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. A D, the movie sucks. It's a completely useless, poorly made film. He doesn't agree, evidently. And there's really next to nothing redeeming it. There is one thing, the character of Han, of course. He's a fan favorite. He's great. But pretty much everything else about the film is horrible. The story sucks. The action sucks. It feels very 2000s. There's really nothing good about this film, unfortunately. I should probably take the time now to address the fact that I am in a Dunkin' Donuts, and that's all the thought I'm going to give to that. Now, let's move on to number 9, Too Fast, Too Furious. This movie also sucks. It's forgettable. Ryan, do you remember this movie? No, of course not, because no one remembers this movie. It sucks. It's not good. It gives you Roman. That's nice. But Paul Walker, unfortunately, doesn't really work without Vin Diesel, I have to say. It's not the greatest combo with Roman. And the story is just not great. It's forgettable. I mentioned that. It's not good. Folks, moving up one tier to a C, we're going to start with number 8. This is a very controversial ranking, I think, because I've seen a lot of people rank this higher. But the original, The Fast and the Furious. Just be honest with yourself. Are you really going to sneeze in my video? Just be honest with yourself right now. This movie is not good. It's so reminiscent of the 2000s. The story is so basic. It's got some redeeming moments, but in general, by and large, it's really not a great movie. It's really not a great movie. It's shocking that it spawned this entire franchise because it's absolutely nothing like its latest entry. But, you know, it's okay. Preferably wouldn't watch it again if it weren't for... I wouldn't watch it again if it weren't for the franchise. But it's a fine movie on its own merits. A bit negative, which is why it's a C. Folks, coming in at number 7 is going to be The Fate of the Furious. Aside from the action, Fate really has nothing to offer. The characters like Cypher and Mr. Nobody just aren't good, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like them. And the revenge plot with Dom is such a bad idea. He's the main character of the franchise. You really don't want to do that. It doesn't work well. And it's just not a good idea. Don't like that film. And again, it's James Wan, who his action sucks, and I'll get to that, of course, with the next entry on this list. A little bit of a spoiler, but not a fan of James Wan's action. Should also mention on the lines of that one, Ryan just left, my bodyguard just left, I should say. It's sort of where the franchise starts to go into mindless, well, it already did, sort of. But this is at its peak, where the mindless action just is unbearable. I really can't stand how little really nuance the story has. Folks, coming in at number 6 is a very controversial one because most people have this at number 1, but I'm going to have to put it here. Furious 7. This film is overrated. Okay, it is. You remember it by the last scene, and I will admit, it's the best scene in the franchise, but everything else about the movie is mediocre at best. The action, again, James Wan. I don't love the quick cut. It's very distracting. And the action itself, the story, none of it is great. Okay, it's a fine story. I love the send-off that they give to Paul Walker and his character Brian. But besides that, the film doesn't have a lot to offer. Folks, coming in at number 5 is Fast and Furious with a little symbol. Number 4. Now this film's a little forgettable, I will admit. I saw these movies a while ago, except for F9, of course. But it's all right. Okay, it's actually better than people give it credit for. There's a bit of a detective vibe there, and the chemistry between Brian and Dom really is at its best in this film. And if they hadn't retconned the whole Letty thing later on, it would have been a great story on its own merit. It's sort of ruined by later entries, but it's a good film. It is. It's a classic film. This film is also sort of where it's the last semblance of reality, and then starting with Fast 5, you just get into crazy antics. And I don't judge the franchise for that. Of course, I haven't ranked those yet, so you will see that I do prefer them. But it is sort of nice to just see where the franchise took a different path. Folks, coming in at number 4, also probably a controversial spot. I've had a lot of those so far. Hobbs and Shaw, with the first positive spot on this list. I don't hate this film. You know, it's a little basic, a little too reliant on story tropes. It's very Fast and Furious, but I love the chemistry between The Rock and Jason Statham, and I just love. I'm a sucker for the story. It's good. It's a good time. Idris Elba's great, Vanessa Kirby's great as well. They're two main guys, and I liked it enough. I thought there was some good comedy. It's a little too long. You've got some parts that definitely aren't necessary, like Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart are kind of just thrown in there. But for the most part, the movie's a very fun, average blockbuster. Folks, getting into the top 3, you may have noticed that one film is strikingly absent, and that would be the latest F9B. The last B on this list. The film is fun. Okay, I mentioned my complaints in my review. Should be up there if you want to watch that. But you know, it's got some issues. I don't like the fact that it's so careless with how it treats, and this is really the franchise's problem as well, but it's exemplified here, so I have to mention it. Treats its old characters and how it dives into all of that. It could really be more consistent. But then again, I do like things where it's trying to build the franchise. Like you bring back the characters from Tokyo Drift. Even as much as I dislike that film, I do like that they brought those characters in. So F9 is fun. It's a good time. You will enjoy it. Folks, coming in at number 2. Number 2 and 1 are pretty close, but I think they've each earned their rightful spots. Folks, coming in at number 2 is Fast and Furious 6. This film is very good. The story is good. The action's good. The characters are good. It's sort of gang v gang. It's clever. You get one of the greatest villains of the franchise and one of the Shaws. I forget the first one's name. But this was really the franchise's peak, along with, of course, the first pick, where they were able to balance everything expertly. And this one certainly has it. I do appreciate how well it balances everything. It's not too mindless. It's not too much action. It's got some great character moments. Fast and Furious number 6 and number 2. But folks, coming in at number 1, undisputedly the GOAT amongst this franchise, and one of my favorite films, to be honest with you, is Fast 5. Ignore the background noise, whatever. I'm in a Dunkin' Donuts. Fast 5 is a great movie. The shenanigans in this one are very clever, very creative, very fun. When I watch Fast 5, I'm reminded that despite the fact that most of these films suck, I give most of these films negative ratings, I enjoy this franchise. I'm glad it exists because it gives me gems like Fast 5. I love this movie. It's a classic heist movie. It's got all the great dynamics between the characters that you know and love. There's a lot to love in this one. Folks, if you haven't seen Fast 5, check it out because it really is a great movie. And I hope someday, well, really, there are only 2 movies left. Vin Diesel announced Fast and Furious 10 Part 1 and Part 2. And I hope they are able to capture the magic that they really got, that they really managed to aim for and achieve, in my opinion, in Fast 5. All right, folks, that's my ranking of the Fast and Furious films in a Dunkin' Donuts. Again, I will not elaborate any further. My bodyguard will join me in for the outro. Folks, I've been EDPC Reviews. This has been my bodyguard, and I will see you in the next Fast and Furious movie, Fast and Furious 10 Part 1. Coming, who knows when. And maybe the musical. You want to see a Fast and Furious musical? Yeah, you do. Yeah, everybody does. Tell me, yeah, there you go.